This video is brought to you in association with Funded Today. Funded Today helps startups to succeed, especially in the fast-paced world of rewards-based crowdfunding. Its creative, marketing and consulting services can multiply your Kickstarter or Indiegogo pledges. All the links for Funded Today are in the video description below. Let's go. Let's get on with the show. Hello, Talk Funders. And today we're talking to Philip from the Carnivore Bar. Hello, Philip. How's it going, mate?
Good. How are you, Alan?
I'm the best. Thank you very much. Listen, this is your second Kickstarter campaign, which we'll talk a bit later on in the interview. And just to get everybody into this Kickstarter campaign, it's called the Carnivore Bar 2. So it's the second Kickstarter campaign that you're running. And it's all about scaling up the Carnivore Bar to meet demand for creating new variations. So to help us look at your journey and to look at the new Carnivore Bar 2, let's just look at the video. And I'm just going to enlarge the screen here and we'll press play. So here it is. So Phil, I'm just going to let the start of the video run a little bit, and then in one sense I'm going to ask you just to sort of fill out the story of the Carnivore Bar.
Sure.
And this is like hiking out in the wilderness, getting hungry.
So we tried to introduce the concept of the nutrition of a steak in a bar early on. And then, kind of get to our setting. The wilderness, the wild frontier, like our history, our roots, kind of a paleo-esque approach to nutrition and, what humans have traditionally eaten, and kind of, link that to that iconography to our product.
Because you mentioned it's basically the nutrition of a steak in the convenience of a bar, and you actually mentioned that in the video at the start, which we're just going to come to, about hunting is the oldest tradition we have. So it's the idea of, as you say, going out into the wilderness. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I think our modern world, we've kind of gotten isolated and removed from our natural environment, our natural setting. And so kind of coming back to our roots and looking at human beings have always eaten, and how to make that not only healthy for us, but also convenient. Because if we're going to integrate it into the modern world, and we have to take these ancient foods and then bring them to our Zoom meetings, and bring them to, our digital world. So, we're missing some steps. Not everyone has time to drop what they're doing and, prepare a whole meal.
Yeah, because you talk about, you taught me a new word, which I have once again forgotten how to pronounce. Satiating, is it?
Satiating.
Satiating.
Yeah.
And what does that mean, satiating?
So it's about like quelling or quenching your hunger. So I was talking about convenience, and we need this like ancestral food, Genetically, we are still ancestral creatures. The modern timeline is just a tiny fraction of what we've evolved and adapted to respond to. So we're ill-prepared for our modern world, but we need this ancestral nutrition, and in order to be satiated, because what our body is craving is this nutrient-dense, energy-dense form, which I believe is more higher in fat and less high in carbohydrates. Whereas a lot of our modern processed foods are full of carbohydrates and seed oils and unnatural, kind of very affordable and convenient products, but not in tune with our ancestral desire. So you eat something and then you're hungry again. You're unfulfilled. You're not getting the vitamins and the minerals, amino acids you need. And so you keep eating more. Well, the profit margin on that is great, but the health margin is very poor.
Oh, that's so interesting. The health margin is so very poor, because you talk about the bars help you get the best performance and make the best contribution to your actual health. So that's what you're emphasizing with these bars, and the whole, one sense, it's a whole lifestyle you're really talking about, Philip.
Yeah, and so I'm a carnivore. I only eat meat, and that's my weird diet that I'm on. But one of the sticking points is that you can't travel. And here in the video, I'm about to show you why. That's a steak. It's a cooked steak, but it just looks gross. It looks hideous. I've seen people really do that. They really they're wanting to be on this meat diet. And so animal nutrition, nutrient dense, but then they have, you know, meat in a bag. It's just, there's nothing more unappetizing than that. And they'll post it on their social media. And it's like, God, we are weird enough. Like, we don't need this.
And is that a raw steak or a cooked steak? It's in the bag.
That's a cooked steak.
Wow.
That's a cooked steak. It just doesn't work when you refrigerate it. It just, I mean, it still tastes fine, but you know, it's really not something you want to be taking on a plane.
Yeah, no. And then this is your solution, is the Carnivore Bar.
Yeah, and it's based on an ancient food. It's based on pemmican. So pemmican, you know, 1700s, probably much, much earlier than that, but that's when we Europeans started writing about it. It's a Native American food that is dried meat mixed with tallow. So it doesn't need refrigeration and naturally energy dense and shelf stable if you get the moisture out of it. So if you start with quality ingredients and you do it the right way, you have this product which allows you to go anywhere and have a healthy food.
Wow. And there was a shot there of a dairy farm, or what was it? What was that bit about the element there?
Oh, that was beef farm. So that's
Beef farm.
Farms is our source. So they are on the East Coast, and they cater specifically for chefs in big restaurants and fancy restaurants during where the flavor really, really matters. That people want they want a high-end meal, but they want it to taste a certain kind of way. And a lot of American palates are they prefer this grain finished, this kind of buttery taste to the meat. And there's the flavor debate, and then there's the ethics debate, and then there's like what the animal is fed. And so we sell both versions of the bar, but the one that we want to steer people towards, that one that we're proudest of, is our grass-fed, grass-finished from Joyce Farms.
Okay.
That's more sustainable, helps the soil, regenerative farming, sequesters carbon. It's the right way to be raising meat. But we don't want to be dogmatic about it. Some people don't prefer it, can't handle it. It's aged a little differently. So, we're trying to balance all these different requests from our consumers and listen to our backers.
Yeah.
But this is kind of where we're at with our grass-fed, because it just doesn't taste very good for most people. Like,
and then this is the bar.
Grass-fed.
This is the bar itself that you're.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, was I rambling?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
So, like most grass-fed beef, if you dry it, it tastes bad. It tastes really bad. So people want grass-fed, but the genetics has to be right. The breed has to be right. The way that the land is managed has to be right. Otherwise, it's concentrated, not good flavor. So we've gone to enormous trouble to source from a grass-fed, grass-finished farmer that raises it and creates a consistent, excellent product that we can use and people can rely on.
And it's very simple ingredients you have in the bar as well. Philip, could you say something about that for the main interview?
Oh, totally. It's beef, tallow, and salt. And now we're going to add raw honey. So the salt we use is real salt. And the beef is grass-fed, grass-finished. And the tallow is grass-fed, grass-finished. And we make our own tallow. So we render it and we do all the stuff, low and slow over time. It takes like 3 days. I have to keep it covered. We can't go too hot. It's just this, it's very difficult to do it the way that our customers are asking us to do it. And the reason that we exist at all is because we're filling a niche that no one's doing. No one tends to do high fat.
In the deep dive, I'm going to ask you what tallow is, because I don't even know what that is. But we'll look at that in the deep dive part of the interview. Just bringing it back to the main interview and the campaign page. I just thought this was a real turning point in the video, where you're from out in the wilderness and you're talking about your grass-fed beef and how it's a North American Indian origins to your product, and it's, you know, for peak performance and contribution to people's health. But I thought this is a real turning point whenever you just talked about your own personal health journey, which began in 2018, your first Kickstarter campaign in 2019, and then the main reason behind this current campaign in 2021 is you're going to expand. It's expansion time for the Carnivore Bar.
So we started very humbly on Kickstarter. You know, this is kind of our origin point. 2019, we pitched the idea, but this right here is our new facility. And we need to fill it out with equipment. You know, the line I used in the Kickstarter was put some meat on the bones of this facility, you know, and that's just basically, we're moving to this facility and we're going to do it no matter what. But, you know, there is a lot of expensive equipment that we need to make this food this way. You know, going low and slow and all those little detailed mechanics that I was talking about, you know, it's very expensive to meet the customer's requests. And the reason it's never been done before is that there's no real profit margin, and it has to be forged, it has to be created. You know, big businesses not interested in selling you grass-fed, grass-finished product made the right way. They're interested in selling you sugar water that costs nothing to make.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. So basically, most of the funding is, you know, you've got the initial shell of the building, as you can see from the video here. It's all built, and they probably brought some of the equipment from the original facility out. And I actually should say, we'll talk about this in the backstory, where your original facility was actually your kitchen, which I love in terms of the origin story. And then with the success of the Kickstarter campaign, you moved to premises, and then with this 2021 Kickstarter campaign, you've kitted it out, I'm sure, to the health and safety standards for Missouri. And now you need more specific equipment, as you say. It's a whole new area that you're developing, and you need the niche equipment, etc., and the, you know, product production workflow to really fulfill the need. And I think it's important that as it says on your page, it's increasingly popular, your bar, because last year in 2020, in the year of the drama of the lockdown, you guys sold out three times.
Definitely. It's ironic, you know, intersection, because I tried to make a convenient, healthy food that, like, you know, that I can eat and not get sick. I can eat several bars. I will not get sick. It's healthy and it's good for me. So there's no limit on how much I can eat until I'm full, until I'm satiated. But in trying to make that product shelf stable for any amount of time, even a couple weeks, we had to go really low moisture. And so the really low moisture meant that it actually had a shelf stability that was incredible. With meat, you either get it right or it's wrong. Like, it's either very perishable or it's incredibly unperishable, because it doesn't have the oxygen and the moisture it needs to spoil or rancidify in that wrapper. So we have a shelf life that's potentially like 25, 30 years. And we haven't proven that yet. We can't claim that, but scientifically, theoretically.
Well, we can talk about that in the deep dive, but going by your comment section in the original Kickstarter, it's not going to last 25 days.
No, people can't save it.
People are trying out your Carnivore Bar, and they're going, this is how do I get more? And just in terms of just finishing off the main interview, let's just look at you mentioned in the video, there's actually 2 variations that you're bringing out. So let's just cover those quickly. This is obviously, we've stopped at the honey one, and there was another one flavor coming
high protein.
High
Yeah, a
protein.
high protein one. Some people don't like the high fat.
So you've got high fat, high protein, and the honey one.
Yep.
And again, this
And so the intersections of all these different things is very interesting. We accidentally made a very like survivor bar, you know, if it lasts that long. The idea was convenience, not having time to make dinner, performance, you know, you want something that's healthy, you know, that's gonna make you feel your best. And you know, this enables travel. So
yeah.
there's 3 points in the video right there.
And you're putting it into your bag to go off for your days hiking.
Yep.
That's fantastic. We'll just finish off the video and finish off the main interview here. I think it's great. I mean, you've covered a lot of the bases in the main interview, and I'm just going to close this down and just return to the main Kickstarter page. And let's just before we just finish off, let's just look at some of the pledges.
Sure.
I think this first pledge here in particular is a really good one. And just by the way, I think off camera you said you're going to launch on May 25th, 2021. Not to be confused with 2020, but May 2021.
Right.
And this first pledge is really good. Can we just talk a little about the Carnivore Box Kickstarter special?
Sure. So we realized we made a giant bar, and the goal was satiation, not necessarily effective marketing or effective portion sizing. So we made a 400 calorie bar that was 2 ounces, and we sold it in a box of 12 for $115. So we realized that was more carnivore bar than a lot of people wanted, especially who weren't fat adapted. And so we made a 1.4 ounce, a new size that's more accessible and not marked up. So it's going to be the same price, but you know, it's $40 for a box of 6. And so you can try different flavors. You can add it. It's less of that initial commitment. And because it's Kickstarter, we're doing a discount.
Yeah, I think that's a great opportunity, particularly for people who will come in and join you in your Carnivore Bar 2 launch, to really have a good sample of what you're offering. I think that's really good. And as it says here, the delivery will be in October 2021, and you are shipping anywhere in the world. The other one that caught my eye was this one here, which gives a nod to your military background, which we'll talk to you about in the backstory, is the Carnivore Ammo Box.
Right. And so this is those big ones, those 2 ounce bars. So we're offering another discount on those. You know, normally this goes for $500 on our website. So, you know, if you want to prepare for the apocalypse with our bar, we want to, you know, we are apolitical. We are just trying to provide what our customers are asking for, what our backers have asked us for. And this is 50 bars and a t-shirt and like a bandana, you know, so it has a gasket. It's a real ammo can. It's serviceable. So it will seal from oxygen, and your 25-year bar could last, I don't know, your whole lifetime probably.
And then this last one here is really good. Is the Carnivore VIP. Well, it's a subscription-based model in that one.
Yeah. So a year's subscription and like basically a locked in price for life. We offered this in our first campaign, but we still had some remaining, you know, we had a limit and we had some remaining. So we are going to, you know, basically offer the remainder of those perks from our first one. And, you know, we're probably never going to offer this again.
Well, there you go. There's a reason to get into it. And then the last one is the Carnivore for Life.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, some of our first backers, you know, it was a big commitment. They didn't know if they were going to like it, and they had to commit to this, you know, this pretty big pledge. But, you know, the lifetime value, if you want this product, is going to be huge. And the startup cost for those equipment, you know, we'll make it over the long run. So hopefully this is a win-win. There's only 7 left of these last Carnivore for Life. And when 7 is up, then we're done.
Wow.
You know, as our cost of the bar goes down, their cost will go down.
Great. Okay. lots to talk about in the deep dive and in the backstory. I'd just like to thank Philip today. I just bring it up to the top of the page here. And just like to thank Philip from the Carnivore Bar company, who are going live on Kickstarter on May 25th with the Carnivore Bar 2. Scaling up.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay, great. And all the links for the Kickstarter campaign will be in the video description below. Thank you so much, Philip, mate. Thank you now.
Thank you.